Welcome to Enchanted Lore. In today's video, we're going to talk about why I don't like D&D Beyond, but it may be right for you. We're going to look at the site from the viewpoint of a new GM and from the new player experience. Let's begin. Let's begin by taking a look at the UI and the navigation throughout the site. So the first aspect of that we want to talk about is the building of the character sheets. And honestly, we found it to be extremely smooth to go through the process of selecting, presenting the information, and creating your character sheet. Additionally, it looks very visually appealing. One aspect that we thought the website didn't do well was with the search functionality. So yes, it did pull up everything with related to the things, but it wasn't clear what you had access to and what you didn't. As you can see here it shows these different things like this demonic armor, and it had some information, but if you wanted more, boom, it tells you you need to go buy that. And then the same thing could be kind of seen where I kind of click on this other demon and then it immediately takes you to where it doesn't provide the information, but it just goes to where you need to go buy this. We also found that to be kind of problematic when you go to the collections and browse monsters, and then you click on the official content and you see all the different monsters there and you're like, oh, cool, I want to take a look at something. And then when you do, it just immediately pops up and says you have to buy it. It really kind of reminded me of that scene within Jurassic Park, where the guy's trying to deal with something and it's all like, you didn't say the magic words, or kind of like with some gacha games where it was just constantly bombarding you with, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. When you were just as a new person trying to figure out and learn what is going on and what is available. Now, with regards to that, I would say that, a recommendation we would have is have where it's clearly visible from here and have filters where it shows maybe what is paid and what is free, have the clear visible tags that designate that to show what is easily available and not. Now, having said that, we did find a way on how you can see the free information. And the way we found that is basically going to sources and then click on view all sources. And then from there, you're within this library and you can see what has been added to your library. And here, within the basic rules of either basic D&D 5e 2014 or the newer 2024 version, you could enter into that. And in there, you can see that they actually have some free monster stat blocks. So let's say like this Horned Devil, right? And you kind of go down to that section and you could kind of see what is in there, like this incubus or whatever. So basically, from our experience, it seems that if you are brand new and you just want to kind of dip your toes into role playing and D&D 5th edition without spending a whole bunch of money up front, going in and having access and just going to the direct resource instead of using the search function is going to be the better way to do this. Another function within the D&D Beyond site that we really liked was the idea of homebrew creations. So whether you want to create a monster or your own magic item or whatever, we thought this functionality was really cool, to where you can go and just create your own item and have it available on the site. Now, obviously, this is going to be a bit overwhelming for new GMs, but we still thought it was a really cool tool. And I think the downside is that it's not as easy to use as how they had the character builder. But regardless, the opportunity is there, and it has all the different fields that it would look for in how to create this item. The other thing that was kind of neat with regards to this is that you can actually go and see other people's creations, and you can, even vote on it, comment on it, and see how this item or this creature was put together, and use other people's creations. Speaking of the homebrew, one of the things that we found in the terms of service was this content similarity waiver. And so basically, if you use this, so just make sure that this is your own creations, and that you can't really sue if you see things that are similar in nature to your stuff within D&D Beyond. The next section that we want to cover is that of the campaigns. And honestly, I was not too impressed with this. I felt that it was pretty lackluster, especially compared to other things. And basically what it comes down to is just kind of a repo to where you can have the character sheets for the different players that are participating in your campaign. If you go to the encounter, and beta, you can have where you can roll the dice and track for initiatives. You can here in this campaign, you can have where you can have basic notes. So it's really just kind of the bare bones, the basic things that you need to run a campaign without a VTT or virtual tabletop. So the next thing we want to talk about is that of information availability, and what information is free, what are the costs, is it a one-time purchase, is it an ongoing subscription and stuff. And you're going to see here that it is kind of a mixture of the different things. So as we've already pointed out, that if you are a new player / GM trying to navigate here and find the free basic information that you need to begin, can be a little bit confusing, especially as a GM, to set up things for the first time, for like maybe your first campaign that you want to run, right? As a player, less so, especially with the character creation, as it guides you through the steps. As we've already pointed out, a lot of these things that, depending on the search functionality and stuff, it's going to be like, hey, you need to go buy something. Now, this is where it kind of gets interesting, speaking of the cost of the different things. Such as here, you can see this Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So when it flips to this book, immediately you're going to see this price of like $60. And you're just like, oh man, that's $60 for digital. Well, no, let's give credit where credit's due. When I first saw that, I was like, I'm not paying $60 for a digital book. But you got to slow down and read. This is for both the digital and the physical. And if you flip over to the physical, it's just going at MSRP of $50. And if you buy both, you get a discount. And then digital is only $10 more, which is not bad. And if you did only digital, then it's $30, right? So you could kind of see where it's here. Now, with the digital, that is just digital access here within D&D Beyond. And you is going to be kind of like the other sites out there, like Roll20 and stuff like that. You know, I can't just hand you this digital copy because it's not a PDF. It's access to it. And this is where something with the D&D Beyond you can share the books in your digital library, but you have to have a master tier subscription and the players must be in one of your campaigns. Then you can share the books with them. So you're going to find different situations similar like that with other sites. Now, one of the things that it kind of, I guess, from a viewpoint that I was kind of approaching this and found a little bit of frustration, going back once again to search for the rules and stuff like that with the constant pop-ups of you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that, is I kind of got spoiled with the Archives of Nethys for Pathfinder. Because there, I was able to see all the different rules and the different stat blocks for all these different type of monsters and stuff like that. And though it is not an official Paizo website for Pathfinder, it had their blessing and stuff. Now, what you will not find there, and I thought that was very interesting, is that obviously the campaign books and stuff. So Pathfinder and Paizo, they're very confident in their stuff that they're like, yeah, you can use this stuff as tools so you can understand the rules and you can help you build the monsters. But we're confident that you're going to have interest in buying the physical books or just having your own digital copy and stuff, or even just buying our own, campaign modules and stuff versus trying to obfuscate the information and have it where you have to pay for everything everywhere you go. So the other thing, going back to the how we talked about the different tiers, you have the free tier, the hero tier, and the master tier. And honestly, I don't really see, looking at the stuff, what is the benefit of a hero tier, because it seems that if you're going to do stuff, you're either going to be a player and kind of use more of the free tier, or if you're the GM, you're really going to be using the master tier. So I personally don't understand what is the benefit of the hero tier. Because to be able to do certain things, such as, like we said, the content sharing of the books, you have to be in the master tier. If you want to use their VTT, which is called maps, you have to have the master tier to set it up and host games and stuff like that. So yeah, that's just something else to think about. The other thing that I thought was interesting with D&D Beyond is that you can only play 5th edition here. I mean, it makes sense that, so they are restricting it to only D&D because they don't want, other stuff on there. So they are only trying to create a closed environment to where you only partake in D&D. But it was interesting that you only have access to D&D 5th edition, which is 2014 and 2024. The 2014 stuff they have labeled as Legacy. And they do give a warning that the Legacy stuff may not always be available for sale on the marketplace, but if you have purchased it, it will continue to exist in your library. But so let's say if you're interested in some of the older versions of D&D, so let's say like 3.5 or 4.0, I could not find that stuff easily, and I don't think it's available within D&D Beyond. And that kind of presents, I think, for me, a challenge with D&D Beyond versus maybe other sites such as Roll20 or Foundry, where you can just play whatever RPG tabletop system you want and whatever version. Do I want D&D 3.5? Do I want 5th edition? Do I want, maybe I do Pathfinder or whatever. With regards to their VTT, which is called maps. All right. So we could not properly test this. As to test it, even though they had some aspects of it which they said you could try out, you could do this, intro thing, it required you to provide credit card information for even the free trial, which I thought was very interesting compared to Roll20, in which you are able to create a free account. And then you are also able to have these free intro modules provided by Dungeons and Dragons, such as you can see here, Waterdeep, the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And they include everything you need there, from tokens to creatures to having access to the rules. All that is just right there and free without the need of credit card information. So now for our summary and conclusion. We do not support D&D Beyond because of the previously discussed downsides and negatives. Additionally, we do not like how antagonistic Wizards of the Coast is with the community, such as we've seen with the OGL scandal or sending the Pinkertons and etc. All right. However, we do recognize that there are some good use cases for this website, such as maybe if you are a veteran GM who have been using this site for a while, and we think it's great because then it will have different tools, such as the homebrew. You have the different character sheets. You can share out your books and stuff, this library that you would have already created. Additionally, if you are just needing a simple site for character creation and keeping track of your characters instead of using pen and paper, this is a really great site to help you create and keep track of your characters. If you are looking for potential alternatives out there instead of this, obviously we recommend and have used Roll20. I know some people use Foundry as an alternative for their VTTs. And well, for us, I can't speak from the GM side of things with using Foundry. That is on our list of things to do. However, we have played in it as a player and thought it ran fairly smooth. More of our experience will come with Roll20, and with it, I felt that there's a lot that you can do, especially as a new player and as a new GM, such as setting up the maps and everything like that. And you can do all that for free, and there's just going to be some limitations on certain functionality. And obviously the big one is going to be hard drive space for it, what they give you for what storage space. And it does have a bit of a learning curve. Obviously, if you're looking for an alternative to Dungeons and Dragons, particularly a 5th edition and stuff, I'm going to recommend Pathfinder. And you can look at the archives of Nethys and poke around and read about Pathfinder 1st edition, which is more like D&D 3.5, or perhaps you can look at the newer Pathfinder 2e. It recently got remastered for clarity and stuff, and it has some similarities to D&D 5th edition, so it wouldn't be such a steep learning curve to adjust and move towards. And obviously, we've been keeping an eye open, and we would likewise suggest you take a look at what's called DC20, where they are actively trying to build a system which is inspired by D&D 5th edition, but try to fix and streamline several of the problems. So anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. We hope that this has been beneficial to you on how you can evaluate D&D and Beyond and see if it's something that might be useful for you.